You had quite a journey to get to Gather for Him, right, Taylor? And it's been. I want to say that I don't know all the details about everything, but I do know that from what we experienced this last week at conference has been pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so God's at work at our place. That story, believe it or not, is one of many stories that we've had throughout our journey, and so it's been really good. Let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about your history, a little bit about yourself, and then kind of how you came to Gather for Him, and then we'll kind of talk about conference, which we just got back from. So a little bit about yourself. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your family, kind of your upbringing a little bit. I know you're a hockey player.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about all that.
So, long story, especially getting to Gather for Him. I was just saying before, it's cool to see all the steps that were taken, that God led me to get to Gather for Him and where I am now. So that's cool. But yeah, going back to the story, born and raised in Tri-Cities, Washington. Started playing hockey at the age of 3. Grew up in the church. Kind of fast forward a couple years, moved away from home when I was 13. Played hockey on the road.
That journey with hockey is, I know we have friends in hockey, the Lomans, and Jake, and I know that they've been following Gather for Him and Liberty Christian throughout the years, and I know that journey is tough because you're always usually away from home. Isn't that right? I mean, and you have to go through these, leagues or I don't know.
Yeah,
explain that a little bit.
So the way it works is you have your amateur hockey. So like if you're playing basketball, like AAU basketball. And so eventually you want to graduate into a junior league. So in my case, it was the WHL. And there's other leagues in the U.S. I guess the biggest comparison that is made between Canadian Junior League, which is the WHL, and the U.S. is the equivalent would be probably college hockey.
Okay.
So usually it's hard for U.S. kids because once you play in the WHL, you lose your college eligibility.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So yeah, but the catch is every year you play, you get your college paid for. So there's you have to balance, kind of figure out what you want to do.
So if you're a Tri-City American, then you lose your college eligibility.
I can't go play college hockey. Yeah. I can go to college, but I can't play college hockey.
Oh wow,
So,
interesting.
Yeah.
So you started this journey what age?
Well, I was playing away from home at 13, moved away at 14.
Yeah.
And then got back to Tri-Cities when I was 17, and I've been here ever since. And that's kind of when God really started working and doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
To get me back to where I needed to be.
But it sounds like your family is pretty much grounded in, they're believers, and so they've been kind of influencing along the way, correct? And that's good. I know that you knew a little bit about. I know in your interview you talked a little bit about biblical worldview, and you knew something about that, at least worldview versus biblical worldview, and we'll get into that more. But it's good. It's neat to hear that. There are parents out there that are still together, number one, and that they're believers and they're strong in the Lord, because there's not a lot of those out there anymore. Yeah. And so your parents kind of set that foundation for you.
Yeah, definitely. That's a cool thing for me, especially. God's been revealing stuff lately. Like, it's funny, the other day we were learning about kids in psychology, and I don't want to scare anybody, but I was like, wow, that's actually amazing to think about. It was just funny, but just to see my parents' relationship, and not really compare them to other people, but just to see they have a common goal in life, and that's to know Christ more and more every day, and by doing that, their relationship becomes closer and closer. So that was really cool to see, their example. And strive for hopefully something like that in the future. But yeah, it's super cool to have. And yeah.
Well, so you sounds like you grew up, then you started this hockey journey, and that took you away from home, and then you end up back at home, and you played for the Tri-City Americans then, right? And probably through a series of injuries, I think you ended up not playing anymore, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it was four surgeries and several concussions, and yeah, and it just came time where I realized that probably want to save my body for the rest of my life,
Right.
and started having some memory problems, and that kind of scared me a little bit. So then I had other options that I wanted to pursue, obviously music and going to school and stuff like that. So it was just funny how everything worked out. Just to see like all the steps that were leading me up to where I'm going to be.
Kind of God put it all together. You didn't understand the big picture until now, and it's kind of coming together for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's neat. So a little bit about, okay, so you end up getting hurt in hockey, then you end up with us.
Yeah.
I don't even know, to this day, I know that you shared that with me, but I know I have a lot of stories that kids tell me, and so sometimes I get my stories mixed up, but because I'm old. But anyway, you end up with us. Tell us about that journey. How did you hear about our college?
So literally, it was December of 2015, and it was kind of the time where I was like, you know what, I think I probably should step away. And the only thing that I remember is my dad just saying, "Hey, what about that Gather for Him college?" And I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, sure, I'll go check it out. And I was looking at these.
How did he hear about it?
I have no idea. Seriously, I have no idea.
Okay.
Probably through Lomans, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Probably how I heard about it. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I'll go check it out. And I think the thing that sold me was just going into Alexis's office and just talking with her and just seeing like the community and how tight-knit it was. And obviously, I'd been out of school. I graduated in 2014. And I've been out of school for several years, and I think something that was really enticing to me was just the small class size too. Just get some more focus on individual needs and stuff like that. So that was and it's definitely worked out. I don't think I've learned math easier throughout a math class with Dr. Petty. So that's kind of a plus, and that's kind of a testament to the success of small class size.
Yeah, I don't want to switch the subject, but has she told her testimony in your class at all?
No, she's not.
She's not.
I've heard it's a good one.
Yeah, it's really good.
Actually, I think she has sort of. She hasn't really hit on it, but she has.
Bits and pieces. Yeah, she's not. She's kind of shy about that, but when I ask her to share it, she's very bold. So she's from Bulgaria. Yeah, and it's a very depressed area, anti-God. I mean, it's definitely. As a matter of fact, if you believe in God in Bulgaria, you are considered, a weak person. Yeah. So it's interesting and how depressing it was there. But not to get off subject. So you end up with us, and we do have small class sizes. I think one of the things that I like about our college, not to kind of pat ourselves on the back or anything, but you tell your story about how you came to us, but there's a unique, and students do too, but the faculty, the adjunct faculty, who have higher level of education, I mean in terms of master's, doctorate degrees, those sorts of things, have a tremendous story about how they got to us as well. Yeah. So
I don't think there is honestly one person at the college that probably was like, hey, you know what? When they're 16 years old, I'm going to go to Gather for Him Christian College. Like everything, especially God putting out the steps to get there. But that's cool.
Yeah, and so everyone has kind of this unique. How did you hear about us? How did this happen? And they go into this story about God put all these pieces to the puzzle together, and they ended up at Gather for Him. So I it's you can't. After you hear all these stories, you can't attribute anything that we're doing other than God put all this together, because it's too complex, and it's from a variety of different places, different times, different places, and people have really, I guess what I really love about it is they've followed their heart for the Lord. Yeah. They've really just said, I'm kind of wholeheartedly in this, and no matter what it costs, I'm going to do it. And believe me, they're not getting paid a whole lot. So I know that they're in it for the Lord. And then that influences you guys across the curriculum and that kind of thing too. But Dr. Petty is one example of many of the teachers that are there that just love God. I think right now we represent over 35 churches in the area, between faculty, kids, or students, and it's really cool how God put it all together.
Definitely.
All right, so you end up at Gather for Him. You like the small class sizes. Anything that stuck out in your mind since you've been there, just you can think of class-wise or anything that...
Well, definitely chapel is really cool every Friday too. You know, me being a musician as well, like worship is probably one of my best / easiest ways to connect with God, and so that's really like an awesome thing, I feel. And then also like, you know, just the people.
Yeah.
It's just fun to hang out, especially after the conference. Like everybody's just so close and tight knit.
Yeah.
It makes it fun coming to school every day. So.
Yeah. So you end up with us, you start classes, and then all of a sudden we're going to leadership conference up at Generation Unleashed. And amazing conference, right?
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I've been doing the conference thing for a long time. I'm 55, so I've been in it for, I don't know, probably a good 25 years plus. And I've been to a lot of conferences, I heard a lot of speakers, but this one, I don't know, for whatever reason, was unique, and I don't know if God just spoke to us, you know, while we're there. It just ended up where a lot of these pieces to puzzles kind of came together for people. And I guess that's what was so amazing about it. But we're at conference, and I can't remember what night it was. Maybe it was Saturday night, right? We James and I go to the leadership conference.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
and,
I remember the Taco Bell miracle.
The Taco Bell thing. So we're going to talk about the Taco Bell experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And not that we're trying to promote Taco Bell or anything,
Yeah.
but
Trademark.
So James and I are at this leadership conference, and it's kind of funny because James, and we end up staying a little bit longer because he ended up in a prayer session with these people that were from Anchorage, Alaska. And so I'm talking with these other folks from Anchorage. He's talking with, around the table, some other folks that are also from Anchorage. And he ends up praying with them. So we end up spending time longer. And at that time, what I know is that one of our vans from conference took off, and another van hung out with and waited for us, right? And so we come and get in the van, and you guys hit me with the whole Taco Bell thing, you know, like you're telling me we need to go to Taco Bell, and I'm saying, hey, you know, whatever you guys want to do, I'm game for it, right? So, so tell us about that from there.
Yeah. So the funny thing, especially about James praying, was the message before. I can't remember. Was it Rich Wilkerson?
Yeah.
Yeah. And his message was, you know, God's never late. God's always on time. It's never your timing, sort of thing. And so like after the conference, while there in the leadership, you guys are in the leadership, we're walking out, and I'm kind of praying in my head, like, God, like, you know, that was awesome and all this stuff, and like, thanks for, you know, revealing this stuff to me. And this thought of like Taco Bell like comes in my mind, and I'm like, whatever. And then I hear it so clearly. I'm like God's like, you need to go to Taco Bell. I'm like, these people are gonna think I'm crazy. Like, they're gonna think I'm hungry. They don't think there's like something there. And then the craziest thing happened. Like, I was, you know, praying. I was like, okay, God, like, what if there is something at Taco Bell? What is there, and what am I gonna say to these people? And he just says, you know, there's a woman there that, you know, I saw a vision of her fighting with her husband, and God was like, this lady needs me, and you need to tell her how much I love her. And I was like, okay, like, wow, so this is a real deal. So we're walking to the car, and I go sit down in the car. I'm still kind of trying to process everything, and I turn to Alexis, who's driving the van, and I go, hey, Alexis, I think we need to go to Taco Bell. And her and Jasmine look at me, and they're like, are you serious right now? And I'm like, yeah, I'm dead serious. And they're like, no, you're kidding. You're just hungry. And I'm like, no, I'm like dead serious. And like, oh, okay. And so we're like, they're like, it's on. And the reason I know it was real, I told people this, and my stomach really like was killing me. Like, I thought I was gonna, you know, my insides were gonna come out.
Yeah, because when I got in the van, you said your stomach was really hurting.
I felt like I'd eaten Taco Bell before. It was ironic, but it was like, it was funny because the sermon before that was a lot about spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, skeptical about a lot of that stuff, but that was like,
Yeah.
That is the enemy trying to say, hey, I don't want you to go to Taco
Right.
Bell. So I was trying to fight it off as best I could. And so anyways, we start driving, and again, going back to the timing thing. So we pull up Taco Bell.
Well, when let's back up. I get in the van, and you're talking about going to Taco Bell. Of course, I didn't know what was going on, and so you're talking to a risk taker. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll go along with whatever. If God's trying to tell us what to do, then let's go for it. So Jasmine starts praying, I think, and I didn't really understand the whole story, but I figured, well, you guys know what you're doing, so we'll just go for it, And she prays, right? And then we end up going to Taco Bell. So take it from there.
So and keep in mind the timing aspect of the message before. So we're going to Taco Bell, and the inside is closed. And I was like, oh man, that really stinks. Like I thought she was gonna be inside, and
because the wind kind of got taken out of my sail a little bit too, because you had been telling me parts of the story along the way, and so I'm thinking, okay, and then it's closed. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, dang it.
Yeah. So and I was like, okay, she's got to be maybe at in the drive-thru or something like that. Maybe she's like the cashier.
Right.
And so we're back. And so keep in mind, we have this huge white van from Budget.
Yeah.
And the parking lot's a really small parking lot. It's kind of like an L-shaped sort of thing. And so we're trying to get in to go to the drive-thru. So we're backing up, and Alexis hits the curb, and we're stuck on the curb.
We actually backed up like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, we were going back and forth.
I was getting a little frustrated. I was like, Alexis, do you know how to turn this thing or what?
It's like a 20-point churn.
Yeah, right.
And so at one point we're just sitting there and we're like yelling at each other, and the whole time I'm just praying, okay, come on, don't make God help me out here, don't make me look like an idiot. And all of a sudden I just see this woman walking down the street out of the corner of my eye, and God goes, that's her. So I just bust out of the car, and everybody's like, wait, don't start running, because she thinks she's going to jump you or something like that. And so, I slow down a little bit, and my heart's pounding. And
I grabbed a couple of the gals that were trying to follow you. I grabbed them because I said, you guys, they'll think she's going to get attacked or something, so slow down a little bit. Yeah. And so, let's go a little slower, know.
So and I walk up to her, and I'm like, hey ma'am, I believe in Jesus. I don't know if you have a relationship with him or not, but I just feel like God's really telling me something about you. Do you mind if I share with you? And she goes, yes. And I could kind of tell that she didn't speak English very well.
Right.
And so I tried to explain to her, I had a vision of you, fighting with your husband and stuff like that. And she couldn't understand what was going on. And I was like, you have a husband? And she goes, oh, yeah. Well, I did. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so I, started, telling her, God loves you, and he wants you to have him back in your life. And she couldn't really comprehend what was going on. She didn't speak English that well again. So we had Gracie.
And then by that time, we'd had probably most of the van
had
out
the
there.
Posse surrounding her.
Yeah, and so... And then Stephanie.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Stephanie comes in and she says, I speak Spanish. I said, Steph, go. And so she starts speaking Spanish to this lady.
Yeah, so she's translating straight across, and she just starts, breaks down and crying. And I'm like, what just happened? Did I say something stupid? And then Stephanie is translating. She goes, she just went through a divorce. She's actually just broke up with her boyfriend. She just got off of work down the street. She was walking home, and she was hungry. Actually, she was walking to her friend's house that she was living at. Yeah. And she was hungry, and she didn't have much money. And the thing that got me is she was just praying to God what was going to happen with her life as she was walking down the street. And that was the point. I was like, come on. Me and James were like, this is crazy. There's no, and that was a really cool moment, I think, for everybody there. Yeah. And so we just started praying for her. Thinking back now, me and James were just shaking because I was holding on to him and he was holding on to me, and we were just shaking, and everybody was like, they like could feel the Holy Spirit there, which was super cool.
I had my hand on the lady, and she was shaking as well. I mean, she was shaking. She just she felt blessed, and I guess afterwards there was a lot of stories that occurred afterwards, but one that was unique, and I want to just hit on, is when Stephanie started speaking in Spanish to her and ministering in Spanish. I don't know if you knew this or not, but so Stephanie talked to Alexis and I don't know, it was either later on that evening. She had been in this Spanish service at her church, and she really didn't understand why she was there. And she did PowerPoint, helped out with the tech team, during the Spanish service of their church. The Spanish service at their church at Word of Faith Center is in the evening. So she was serving there doing tech stuff. Jasmine, one of the other students' mom, translates there in Spanish. And she felt like, for her, that's why she was in that Spanish service, because she learned words that she normally wouldn't learn in Spanish. Hallelujah, God, prayer. I mean, things that typically you don't hear every day in Spanish. So she felt like she was there to learn some of the key words to minister to this lady, which, And
that was the first, from what I recall, that was the first time she's ever prayed in Spanish.
Yes.
And she, I don't speak Spanish, but I felt like I could understand every single word she was saying. And the lady, she was like, yes, Lord, you can tell she was, could comprehend what she was saying. But that's definitely awesome.
So James, we kind of pray for her. She goes about her way, and James says, well, I think we should probably bless her. So Stephanie and I kind of catch up to her a little bit and kind of talk to her a little bit more and give her some money to bless her. And then got kind of exchanged some phone numbers there. So we're going to have to follow up with her and just see how she's doing. And one of the things that maybe we can do in chapel is give her a call and see how she's doing, and then pray. We've done this before where we actually call somebody in chapel and we'll put them on speakerphone, and then we'll have all the students pray for her. So we might give that a try today, see how it goes. But then afterwards, we do a debrief, and that's conference. That's kind of the way I do it. I've always done it that way, where we take all the conference stuff that we learned during the day, and we debrief it with all the students afterwards. And by the way, thank you for the guitar and singing and the worship and all that. It was really good. And so we kind of debrief. And in that, we talk about how the Lord kind of speaks to them through the conference speakers, through the worship. And it was amazing to me how many students were praying about faith and belief in God, and maybe some uncertainties there. Not that everybody had this big question mark about God, but when you're walking, your walk out with the Lord, you're gonna have
you have droughts and stuff.
You have your ups and downs. Yeah, for sure. And I know Jordan was really the Lord really spoke to him about this is real stuff. This is not anything that's coincidence. And he kind of watched it unfold before his eyes, which really strengthened his faith and his belief in God. And so, and actually, when you do that, when you watch that happen right before your eyes, it really you can't attribute anything but God. So, what I'm really proud of you about is that I don't know if I see that. I see it a little bit more in athletes, where they're willing to take a risk, and they know that they've been on an athletic journey, and in that journey, in order to get to where you need to go, you're going to have to take some risks.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's not always pleasant. And I think athletes more than most people, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, I don't have any statistics to back this up, but they're a little bit more risk takers. And so I appreciate you taking the risk, number one, because it's kind of like you said in the back of your head, I could either look stupid or, it wouldn't look too good if this didn't occur.
And I've heard, that's the thing, I've heard several stories of, people I felt like God was speaking to me, and that was kind of the thing I had peace with too, is, you know what, I felt if God, spoke to me and she wasn't there, at least I had the courage to step out in faith and try it.
That's right. And even if it wouldn't have worked out, the courage to do that still does not return void to God.
Yeah.
Just does not return void. So he's going to use that somehow, some way in your future or whatever. And so really appreciate you stepping out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with a van full of people that you really, at that point in time, we got to know each other well, but you'd only been at our college probably about a month.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less than that.
Yeah.
A little over that, I don't know. But, not really knowing what we're all about, and then all the students. So anything else that stuck out in that whole thing to you?
I think just for me, there's three things that kind of stuck out. Kind of for the one thing overall for the weekend was just fix your eyes on Jesus and God, and everything will be all right. That's just the simplest you can put it.
Right.
I've had stuff in my life, and there's things in other people's lives around me that things are happening and stuff like that. And actually, my buddy just preached a great message on the same thing last night. If you fix your eyes on Jesus, nothing else really matters. It's just the simplest way to put it. It sounds very simple to do, but it's actually very hard to do. That was a really cool message that I got out of it, and kind of pertaining to the whole Taco Bell incident, I guess. Another thing that was kind of evident in the weekend was stepping out in faith, and God rewards those who step out in faith. And I didn't think about anything like that. I was just like, I really feel like I need to do this, and to step out in faith. And that was I kind of never really been a huge evangelistic guy.
Yeah.
But after that experience, I feel like, wow, that's it just changed my view on the world. Instead of going to I went to Best Buy the other day, and I was like, you know what? I don't have to be, just monotone person when I go up to the cashier. I can, try to spread. I don't have to be like, hey, you need Jesus. You need to come, and be like that. Just to have God's love and be like, hey, how's your day going and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just to have a different mindset. And, but yeah, it's stepping out of faith. It's funny because after that day, this is might sound like a stupid example, but how God rewards those who step out in faith. And we're at Ross, Dress for Less or something like that, and I'm like, man, I just really want a sweatshirt hoodie sort of thing, like a short sleeve sweatshirt hoodie, and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna find one at Ross. Come on. And then I was like, I want kind of a little blazer sort of thing, and I didn't find anything, and went to a couple other stores. I come back to Ross. I was gonna get some other things, and those two exact things that I wanted were there, and I was like, what? Come on. I don't know if that's God or whatever, but I was like, Jesus, thank you so much. It was just really, it was funny. But yeah, stepping out in faith was definitely one of the coolest things that I think I got out of it. And, hopefully I can just keep doing that more and more and more.
Yeah.
And,